When U.S. Marshal Reese Callan uncovered a trail of corruption, she thought she was serving justice, not walking straight into a trap designed by the one person she trusted most. What began as a federal manhunt soon spiraled into a web of betrayal, love, and revenge, where every secret had a price, and every truth came too late. The message came through at 2:03 a.m. while I was halfway through reviewing field notes in a hotel room in Seattle. Mom, finally did something about that house of yours. You're welcome. At first, I thought I was misreading. My mind was foggy, my eyes heavy from a 14-hour surveillance shift. But the words didn't change. The house? My house in Alexandria. The 3-bedroom colonial I'd bought 2 years earlier. 15 minutes from the federal courthouse. 20 from the U.S. Marshal Service headquarters, where I'd spent most of my waking hours since returning from Afghanistan. I typed back, fingers still sluggish. Me. What do you mean, did something about it? Her reply came instantly, like she'd been waiting for the question. Mom. Sold it. You were never there anyway. Always off chasing criminals for that job of yours. The money will help your sister with her wedding. For a moment, I just stared. Then the words hit me like a gut punch. She sold my house. I sat up so fast my phone almost flew from my hands. Me. You sold my house? Mom. Don't be dramatic, Reese. We had your power of attorney from when you were deployed. We used it. The house was sitting empty. $850,000 cash. Your father and I split it with Morgan for her wedding expenses. You can thank us at the reunion next week. My pulse spiked. My parents had what? That power of attorney, it was from 6 years ago, before I'd joined the Marshals. A document I'd completely forgotten to revoke when I came back stateside. And now they'd used it. Me. Mom, you need to stop the sale. Immediately. Mom. It's done. Closed yesterday. Stop being selfish, Reese. Family helps family. My stomach twisted. I threw the covers aside and stood, heart hammering. Family helps family. Not when the family sells a federal safe house. By 2:11 a.m., I was on the phone with Deputy Chief Marshal David Crawford. He answered on the third ring, voice thick with sleep. Callan, this better be good. It's the middle of the night. Sir, we have a situation. My family just sold my house in Alexandria. There was silence, then a sharp edge in his tone. Your house? The one we've been using as wait. Callan, you don't mean the safe house. Yes, sir. Jesus Christ. He was awake now. That's the property housing the Castellano witness family, isn't it? Yes, sir. Angela Moretti and her 2 children. They're scheduled to stay there another 3 weeks before relocation. Tell me the sale date. Closed yesterday. Another pause, colder this time. And your family sold a federal safe house to who? I don't know yet, sir. My mother said cash buyers. Something about $850,000. Below market, of course, Crawford muttered. Get back to D.C. now. I'm activating the emergency team. We move the Morettas tonight and find out who the hell bought that property. By the time my flight landed at Reagan National at 10 a.m., my phone was full of unread messages, all from my mother. Variations of, you're overreacting. Don't ruin Morgan's wedding over this. It's just a house. I ignored them all. My just a house was a classified safe location under federal witness protection. At headquarters in Arlington, Crawford was waiting in the secure conference room. Beside him sat Patricia Williams, legal counsel, and 2 senior marshals. He motioned me in. Sit. Start from the beginning. I laid it all out, the power of attorney, my parents' access, the unauthorized sale. As I spoke, the tension in the room thickened until it felt like breathing through glass. Patricia leaned forward, typing quickly. So, let me confirm. Your parents sold a property registered as a federal safe house, currently housing witnesses in an organized crime case, using a 6-year-old power of attorney. Yes, ma'am. And they did this without notifying you, your department, or the service? Yes, ma'am. Her fingers paused. Who bought the property? I don't know. My mother only mentioned it was a quick cash sale. Crawford's jaw tightened. An $850,000 sale for a $2.8 million home. That's either stupidity or conspiracy. Patricia scanned her laptop. I'm pulling the property records. The buyer is listed as Riverside Holdings LLC, registered in Delaware. Ownership obscured through shell entities. Crawford exhaled slowly. That's not an accident. Someone targeted that address. Targeted? I asked, my pulse quickening. Callan, that safe house shelters a key witness against the Castellano crime family. You really think a shell company just happened to buy that specific property for cash below market? The room went still. We're relocating the Morettis right now, Crawford said, standing. Callan, you're with me? Patricia, trace Riverside Holdings, every layer, every connection. I want names within the hour. We rolled out of headquarters in a 3-vehicle convoy, black SUVs, no markings. The drive to Alexandria felt longer than ever. My mind spun through possibilities. Had my parents been duped? Or had they boasted, bragged, shared too much in some public place where the wrong ears were listening? By the time we reached the house, the tactical team was already staged. Marshals Rodriguez and Chun, the current protection detail, met us at the door, confusion written across their faces. Sir, what's going on? Rodriguez asked. We didn't get any notice of relocation. Crawford's voice was flat. The property was sold without authorization. We're moving the witnesses now. Rodriguez's hand instinctively went to his weapon. Sold? How? Family issues, I said quietly. Is Mrs. Moretti inside? He nodded. With both kids. Lunch. We entered quickly. Angela looked up from the kitchen table, startled, her 2 children pausing mid-bite. What's happening? She whispered. Did they find us? No, ma'am, Crawford said gently. But we're moving you as a precaution. You have 10 minutes to pack essentials. Marshal Rodriguez will assist. Angela's hands trembled as she rose. You said this place was safe. You said. I know, Crawford said softly. There's been a complication. We're correcting it. As Rodriguez guided Angela upstairs, I caught a glimpse of the framed photo on the table, Angela's late husband in uniform, smiling. A reminder of what carelessness could cost. Crawford turned to me. Your parents, where are they now? At my uncle's farm in Pennsylvania, I said. Family reunion this weekend. Then, that's where we're going. He handed me a digital recorder. We'll document every word they say. By late afternoon, we were crossing into rural Pennsylvania. The convoy wound through rolling hills until the landscape opened to a 50-acre farm, alive with the sounds of laughter and country music. Cars lined the gravel drive. Children played under oak trees. Smoke curled from the grill. My mother stood near the patio, drink in hand, surrounded by relatives. When she saw me, she smiled, until she noticed the suits and badges trailing behind. Reese? Her voice wavered. What on earth? My father appeared on the porch, beer in hand. My sister Morgan, radiant in her engagement glow, stepped out behind him. I crossed the yard with Crawford at my side. We need to talk, I said evenly. Now. Oh, for heaven's sake, Reese, Mom sighed. If this is about that house again. It's not just a house, I snapped. It was a federal safe house. A property under U.S. Marshal's jurisdiction, housing a witness against the Castellano crime family. Her smile collapsed. Reese Callan stared at the rain streaking across the glass, its rhythmic tapping echoing the tempo of her thoughts. Her office at the U.S. Marshal Service had always felt like a refuge, cold, efficient, and predictable. But tonight, it seemed to close in around her. The file on her desk contained the results she'd been dreading, internal financial records connecting her partner, Agent Miles Rourke, to an unauthorized account offshore. Her chest tightened. This can't be right, she whispered. But the evidence didn't lie. Digital footprints, timestamps, data transfers, all leading back to the one man she trusted more than anyone else. The same man who had once saved her life during a botched extraction in Detroit. The same man who had looked her in the eyes and said, "I'd take a bullet for you." Now, the bullet had already been fired, Only she hadn't realized it had hit her until now. She closed the file, took a deep breath, and rose from her chair. The fluorescent lights overhead flickered, humming faintly as though the entire building shared her unease. Outside, the storm was gathering strength, wind clawing at the edges of the city, like something alive. Reese called her supervisor, Deputy Director Helena Cross, from the hallway. A tall, silver-haired woman whose authority could freeze a room. She appeared at Reese's door with a frown. "We need to talk. Privately." Reese straightened, masking her turmoil. "Yes, ma'am." Cross closed the door behind her. "You've been looking into Rourke's case off record, haven't you?" Reese hesitated. "I had a hunch." "A hunch?" Cross her arms. "You're a marshal, not a conspiracy theorist. You don't investigate fellow agents without authorization, especially not when that agent has been missing for 72 hours. That hit harder than Reese expected. Missing. It was true. Rourke hadn't reported for duty in 3 days. No calls, no sightings, no trace. "I wasn't accusing him," Reese said carefully. "I was trying to find him." Helena studied her, eyes sharp as glass. "You're emotionally involved. I get it. But if you're not careful, this thing will destroy your career." When Cross left, Reese sat back down slowly, her mind racing. Emotionally involved, she'd said it like an accusation, but she wasn't wrong. Reese had cared for Miles, more than she should have. And now he was gone. Hours later, the city glowed with neon reflections as Reese drove through the narrow streets of Alexandria. She wasn't heading home. She was following an encrypted GPS ping from a private investigator she had quietly hired 2 days ago, Noah Vega, a former cybercrimes analyst with a reputation for finding ghosts. She found him waiting under the awning of a closed coffee shop, his hoodie pulled up against the rain. "You shouldn't be here," Noah said, sliding a small drive into her palm. "What I found, it's not what you think." Reese's pulse spiked. "Just tell me." He leaned closer, his voice low. "Your partner didn't just disappear. He was running from someone or something inside your own agency." The words hung in the air like fog. "What are you talking about?" Reese demanded. "Give me names." Noah shook his head. "It's bigger than names. The money trail leads to an internal operations fund that shouldn't exist. The account is ghost-coded. Someone high up is laundering assets through covert witness protection programs." Miles stumbled on it, and then he vanished. Reese's stomach turned cold. "You're saying he was silenced?" "I'm saying he found something meant to stay buried." A car horn blared nearby. Both flinched instinctively. When Reese turned back, Noah was already walking away, disappearing into the mist. The next morning, Reese was summoned to headquarters. The briefing room buzzed with tension. Screens glowed with satellite imagery and red-marked maps. Deputy Director Cross stood at the front, her expression unreadable. "Last night," Cross began, "we received a tip that Agent Rourke's vehicle was found burned near the Potomac Bridge. Nobody recovered." The room went silent. Reese felt her pulse pounding in her throat. Cross's gaze shifted to her. "Marshal Callan, I know you and Rourke were close. But until we get clarity, you're off this case. Effective immediately." Reese's breath hitched. "What? You can't." "It's not a request," Cross said flatly. "Hand over your badge." The weight of those words struck her like a blow. Slowly, she removed her badge, setting it on the table. "This isn't over," she said, her voice trembling but firm. Cross's eyes flickered, not with anger, but something closer to pity. "That's what I'm afraid of." That night, Reese sat alone in her apartment, surrounded by silence. Her badge was gone, her reputation fractured, her partner missing, possibly dead. But none of it felt finished. On her coffee table, her laptop screen glowed faintly with Noah's encrypted data. She hesitated for a long moment before opening it. Lines of code filled the screen, followed by a string of audio files labeled with dates. She clicked the first one. "If you're hearing this, Reese, it means they've found me. Don't trust anyone in the Marshal service. Especially not Helena Cross." Her heart stopped. It was Miles. They're using witness protection as a front, moving money, covering hits. I copied the files onto a secure drive hidden inside the old field office locker 27B. You'll know what to do. Static. Reese's trembling fingers pressed the stop key. Helena Cross. The one person she'd trusted after Miles. Her entire body went cold. The next day, she drove to the decommissioned field office. The building stood like a relic, boarded windows and rusting locks, the kind of place forgotten by everyone, except the ghosts of those who'd worked there. Inside, the air smelled of dust and oil. She found locker 27B, half buried under debris. When she pried it open, she discovered a small metal case with the initials MR engraved. Inside lay a flash drive, a faded photograph of her and Miles from 2 years ago, and a note written in his handwriting. If they come for you, don't run. Make them come into the light. Before she could process it, a noise echoed behind her. Soft footsteps crunching on glass. Looking for something, Marshal? Reese froze. The voice was female, smooth, authoritative, one she recognized instantly. Helena Cross. Reese turned slowly, the metal case still in her hand. Cross stood a few feet away, her pistol raised, eyes calm and unflinching. You should have stayed off this, Reese. I tried to protect you. By framing my partner? By killing him? Cross's expression didn't change. He was a liability. You're becoming one too. Reese's heart pounded. You don't have to do this. Oh, but I do, Cross said softly. Because if the truth comes out, this entire agency collapses, and every name we've ever protected burns with it. The storm outside roared as lightning slashed across the sky, illuminating the two women, mentor and protege, standing on opposite sides of truth. Reese's voice steadied. Then I guess I'll start the fire. A gunshot cracked through the abandoned office, and the screen of the laptop, still open nearby, blinked to life, uploading encrypted files to an unknown destination. The gunshot still echoed in Reese Callan's ears long after the smoke cleared. She crouched behind the overturned locker, her breath ragged, adrenaline roaring in her veins. The bullet had missed, barely. A thin trail of dust drifted from the wall beside her head. Helena Cross's silhouette was gone. Only the slam of a distant door marked her retreat. Reese waited, counting seconds, forcing herself to breathe again. Her fingers trembled as she picked up the flash drive and tucked it into her jacket pocket. The rain outside had turned the night into a symphony of chaos, thunder breaking like cannon fire over the rooftops. She left through the back exit, every nerve alert, headlights slicing through the storm as she drove into the darkness. By the time she reached the outskirts of the city, dawn was breaking. Pale sunlight painted the horizon, but there was no comfort in it. She stopped near an abandoned diner off Route 17, killing the engine. Her mind replayed everything: Miles's recording, Cross's betrayal, the half-truths buried beneath federal badges. She reached for her phone, hesitating before dialing Noah Vega's secure line. He answered on the second ring, his voice low. "Reese, you're alive." "Cross tried to kill me," she said flatly.
"She's involved."
Miles was right. "Where are you?" "Off the grid. I have the drive." A pause. "Then you need to get out of Virginia.
Now."
If Cross realizes you survived, she'll send someone who won't miss." Reese stared through the cracked windshield, rain blurring her reflection. "I can't run. You don't have a choice." "I do," she said quietly. "And I'm choosing to finish what Miles started." For the next 24 hours, Reese disappeared into the city's undercurrent. Cheap motels, untraceable phones, a fake ID bought from a contact she'd arrested years ago. The life of a fugitive was one she'd never imagined for herself, but it was the only way to expose the truth. The flash drive contained encrypted files, names, offshore transactions, digital ledgers, but it was locked behind a proprietary algorithm. Only one person could break it: Noah Vega. They met at a safe house outside Baltimore, a warehouse disguised as an auto repair shop. Noah sat at a dusty desk surrounded by flickering monitors, his brown hair disheveled, eyes sunken from too many sleepless nights. He gave her a long, searching look. You look like hell. Reese managed a faint smirk. I've had better weeks. He gestured to a chair. Let's see what your dead partner left behind. She placed the drive on the table. For a moment, neither moved. There was something fragile between them, a trust slowly building, unspoken but heavy with understanding. Noah inserted the drive into his system. Lines of encrypted code filled the screen. He used a Hydra lock encryption, he murmured. That's not standard issue. Someone with deep agency access built this. Can you break it? He hesitated. I can try. But once I start, they'll know someone's digging. Then start fast, Reese said. He nodded and began typing, his fingers moving in sharp bursts. Reese watched him, the intensity in his eyes, the quiet confidence that reminded her of Miles. But where Miles had been composed, Noah was chaotic, brilliant in the kind of way that carried danger. Tell me something, Noah said, not looking up. Why risk everything for this? You could walk away, start over. Reese exhaled slowly. Because if I don't, then he died for nothing. And I won't let that happen. He stopped typing for a moment, his gaze lifting to hers. You loved him. It wasn't a question. Reese didn't answer, but her silence said everything. Hours passed. The storm returned, rattling the roof. Noah worked tirelessly until a sharp beep broke the silence. The screen blinked. Access granted. He leaned back, exhausted. We're in. Reese stepped closer. Rows of files unfolded, classified memos, falsified case reports, transfer orders. And at the center of it all, Operation Halo, a covert fund disguised as a witness relocation program. It showed payments linked to contract hits, money laundering, and falsified identities, including one belonging to Miles Rourke. Reese's heart pounded. He wasn't just investigating it, he was part of it. Noah shook his head. Look closer. The next page revealed a dossier, Miles's name, photo, and a red stamp across the top. Double agent, terminated. Reese staggered back, her throat tightening.
No.
That's not possible. Miles wasn't killed by accident, Noah said quietly. He was executed for knowing too much. Her knees nearly gave out. For months, she believed she'd failed him, that she hadn't seen the danger coming. Now, the truth cut even deeper. Miles had been trapped inside the very system they'd sworn to protect. Noah placed a hand gently on her arm. We can use this. If we leak these files. She pulled away.
No.
Not yet. We need proof that Cross ordered it. Reese. If we go public now, they'll erase everything. We need a confession. Something they can't bury. Noah stared at her for a long moment, then nodded reluctantly. Then we do it your way. But you'll need bait. That night, Reese returned to D.C. under a new identity, her nerves strung tight as wire. She parked 2 blocks from the federal building, rain glinting off her windshield like shards of glass. Through the mirror, she caught sight of herself, hollow-eyed, her hair tied back, the weight of loss and fury sculpting her expression. She dialed Helena Cross. Marshal Callan. Cross answered coolly, her voice unruffled. I heard rumors you were dead.
Not yet, Reese said.
We need to talk. You're making a mistake. Maybe, Reese said. But if you want the flash drive, you'll meet me alone. Midnight. The old shipyard by the docks. A pause. Then, if you're lying, I'll kill you myself. Reese hung up. Her pulse steadied. That was exactly what she needed. At midnight, the docks lay quiet beneath a rising fog. The river shimmered under the moonlight, dark and cold. Reese stood near the edge, her jacket slick with rain, the flash drive hidden in her boot. She heard the crunch of footsteps behind her, measured, deliberate. Right on time, Cross said, stepping into view. Her trench coat whipped in the wind, the barrel of her gun catching a faint glimmer of light. You always were predictable. Reese didn't flinch. You killed him, didn't you? Cross's lips curved. He betrayed us. He leaked files that could have compromised national security. Or exposed your little empire. Cross's eyes narrowed. You think you understand what we do here? The decisions we make to keep this country alive. I think you killed a good man to save yourself. Cross laughed softly. He was never good, Reese. He was using you. He was in on it until he wasn't. And when he got cold feet, I had to make a choice. Reese's jaw tightened. You don't get to rewrite his story. I already did. From behind a cargo crate, a faint mechanical hum activated. Cross froze. Reese's voice was calm. You just confessed on a live transmission. Cross's face went pale. The dock lights suddenly flared to life, and Noah stepped from the shadows, holding a portable signal unit. Smile, he said. You're broadcasting to every federal database on the East Coast. Cross's gun snapped up, firing twice. Reese dove, the bullets ricocheting off metal. Noah returned fire, forcing Cross back toward the pier's edge. But Helena was fast, too fast. She grabbed a steel pipe from the ground and swung at Reese, the impact cracking against her shoulder. Reese stumbled, but didn't fall. She countered, grabbing the weapon and driving it into Cross's midsection, sending her sprawling near the water's edge. For a heartbeat, everything froze: rain, breath, memory. Reese stood over her former mentor, chest heaving, the echo of thunder rolling across the river. Helena, she said softly, you could have stopped this. Cross looked up, blood on her lips. So could you. And then she rolled backward, into the black water below. Reese stared into the river long after the ripples faded. When she finally turned, Noah was there, rain dripping from his hair, eyes filled with something that wasn't just relief. It was recognition. Two people bound not by victory, but by survival. He reached out a hand. It's over. Reese shook her head.
No.
It's just begun. Because she knew what Helena Cross had said was only half a lie, and the files on that drive weren't just about one operation. There were dozens. The rain didn't stop for 3 days. Every headline screamed about the federal conspiracy expose, the anonymous leak that had shaken the Justice Department to its core. Names were redacted, agents suspended, and entire divisions quietly dismantled overnight. But behind the official statements and polished press briefings, Reese Callan knew the truth. The real story had only been half told. She watched it unfold from a small cabin in the Blue Ridge Mountains, her arms still bandaged from the fight at the docks. The government had labeled her a key whistleblower, but that title meant nothing. The cost of the truth had been everything: her badge, her peace, and the one man she'd once loved. Noah Vega entered the room, carrying 2 mugs of coffee. He set one in front of her and leaned against the counter. You should be proud, he said. You burned down an empire. Reese gave a tired smile. Empires always rebuild. They just change faces. He watched her for a moment, his expression unreadable. You could disappear, you know. Leave all this behind. She looked out the window, mist drifting between the trees. That's the thing about running. You always carry the ghosts with you. For a while, neither spoke. The silence between them wasn't empty, it was heavy, layered with exhaustion, grief, and something neither of them wanted to name. Finally, Noah stepped closer. I found something on the drive, he said quietly. Reese turned. What do you mean? He slid a tablet toward her. On the screen was a single, unencrypted file titled Project Recall, MR. When she opened it, her breath caught. It was a video. Miles Rourke's face appeared, worn and haunted, recorded days before his death. Reese, if this reaches you, it means Cross failed to bury me completely. You were right, there's more than one operation. They call it Recall. A contingency designed to erase agents who know too much. The program goes deeper into intelligence, politics, corporate defense. If they find you, they'll come under a different name. Don't trust anyone. Not even Vega if he starts acting strange. They're watching everything. The video ended abruptly. Reese's blood ran cold. She looked up at Noah, but his expression was unreadable. Noah, what is this? She asked, her voice low. He exhaled, running a hand through his hair. I was going to tell you. I used to work for them. Before all of this. I helped build the encryption hydrolock, the same one Miles used. Her heart pounded. You were part of Recall? I didn't know what it really was, he said quickly. I thought it was just a covert monitoring program. When I found out, I tried to expose it. That's why I left. That's why they came for me. Reese studied him carefully. Every instinct in her screamed to back away, but something in his eyes stopped her. Regret. Real, bone-deep regret. Then why help me? She whispered. Because Miles wasn't the only one they marked for deletion, he said. You were next. And I wasn't going to let that happen. The silence between them thickened. Reese looked back at the frozen image on the tablet, Miles's face, and felt the ache of two betrayals colliding inside her, the man she'd loved and the man who'd saved her from the same fate. Finally, she asked, how much time do we have before they realize you're alive? Noah's faint smile didn't reach his eyes. Not long. By nightfall, the cabin felt smaller, the air electric with the kind of tension that precedes something irreversible. Reese sat at the table, cleaning her weapon, while Noah finished encrypting the last batch of files they planned to send to the press. This isn't just about revenge anymore, he said softly. If we do this, you'll never get your life back. You'll always be hunted. Reese met his gaze. Then we make it count. He stared at her for a long moment, something shifting in his expression, a softness he hadn't allowed himself to feel until now. You never stop fighting, do you? She smiled faintly. If I did, I'd stop being me. Noah reached across the table and took her hand. The contact was tentative at first, but it steadied them both, a quiet promise in the midst of chaos. For the first time in months, Reese let her guard down. She didn't kiss him. She didn't need to. The silence between them said more than words ever could. Just after midnight, a motion sensor flickered red on Noah's laptop. He stiffened. They found us. Reese grabbed her weapon and moved to the window. Two black SUVs crawled up the muddy trail, headlights cutting through the fog. Looks like they didn't waste time, she muttered. Noah started transferring the last of the files to a satellite link. Keep them busy. I'll upload everything. Reese kicked open the back door and slipped into the storm. The woods around the cabin came alive with movement, shadows in tactical gear, advancing in formation. She fired a warning shot, taking cover behind a tree. Marshal Callan, a voice shouted through the darkness. You're surrounded. Surrender, and you'll live. She laughed bitterly. That's what you told Miles. A hail of bullets answered her. Bark exploded around her head. She ducked, rolled, and returned fire, her training taking over, clean, efficient, lethal. But there were too many. Inside, Noah shouted, Reese, it's done. It's live. The laptop beeped. Upload complete. A grenade crashed through the window. The blast shook the cabin, shattering glass and flame bursting outward. Reese turned toward the noise, panic ripping through her chest. Noah. She ran back inside. The room was an inferno, flames licking across the walls. Noah was on the floor, bleeding from his side but conscious. He looked up at her, coughing, his face smeared with ash. You have to go, he rasped.
No.
He grabbed her wrist, his grip weak but insistent. Reese, it's out there now. Every file. Every name. You did it. Tears burned her eyes. We did it. He smiled faintly. Then don't waste it. Another explosion shook the walls. Reese dragged him toward the door, but he pushed her hand away. Go. I'm not leaving you.
His voice softened.
You already lost one person to this. Don't lose yourself, too. And before she could argue, he shoved her toward the exit with the last of his strength. She stumbled outside as the cabin erupted behind her in a final, blinding burst of fire. The shockwave threw her to the ground. When she looked back, the cabin was gone. Only flames and black smoke rising into the endless rain. By dawn, federal vehicles had swarmed the site. The news spread like wildfire, a whistleblower operation exposing corruption across multiple agencies. The files had gone public, beyond control. But Reese Callan was gone. For weeks, rumors spread. Some said she'd died in the explosion. Others whispered she'd vanished overseas, living under a new name. The truth was simpler and far quieter. She stood on a remote pier somewhere in Ireland, the sea stretching gray and endless before her. Her arm was fully healed, though the scar across her shoulder still burned when the wind turned cold. From her coat pocket, she took a small flash drive, the last piece of data Noah had saved separately, the one file he hadn't uploaded. It was labeled Legacy. She plugged it into a borrowed laptop at a seaside cafe. The screen flickered, and a short message appeared. If you're reading this, it means we made it. Somewhere, someone is finally watching. Don't let them rewrite what we lived through. N. Reese smiled through tears. For the first time in a long time, she let herself breathe. The war was over, at least for now. But she knew darkness never truly died. It only waited for new names, new faces, new secrets. As the tide rolled in, she whispered to the wind, "They thought they erased us." Then she turned away from the sea, the sun breaking through the clouds, and walked into the morning light.